You're tuned in to Ronversations, the podcast where real talk meets real change straight from the heart of Santa Fe. I'm your host, Ronald S. Trujillo, candidate for mayor in the 2025 Santa Fe election. Ronversations dives into the issues that matter most to our community, from public safety to affordable housing, local jobs to transparent government, and everything in between. No scripts, no spin, just honest dialogue and bold ideas for a resilient Santa Fe. This is a space for open conversation, real solutions, and a shared vision for our city's future. Glad you're here. Let's talk. Buenos dias, Santa Fe, and welcome to the first installment of Ronversations, Santa Fe Unfiltered. My name is Ron Trujillo. I'm a candidate for mayor here in 2025, and I am very fortunate today to have Lamech Mokono, a world-class distant runner and Olympian, here with me. We're going to discuss a lot of stuff here today. I've always had the interest of making Santa Fe, promoting Santa Fe as a high altitude training. And Lamech here trains here 24/7, 365 here in Santa Fe. And these are the questions I want to ask you, Lamech. First I want you to tell everybody all about you, who you are, what you've done, your accomplishments, and then we'll get into more detail of the high altitude training.
Well, as you've heard from Mr. Ron here, it's a pleasure to talk on this show, and my name is Lamech Mokono. I've been here in Santa Fe long time than anybody, and the reason I moved here, it's because of the high altitude. The weather here is good, and the importance of using especially the hills, the high altitude, the terrain here, and recovery after going to major marathons across the entire world. But bottom line is Santa Fe is one of the top destinations. When coming here, most people consider Santa Fe as the best destination because of the high altitude and the good people of the city. Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here with Ron, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about why the altitude. In doing marathon or becoming faster, the higher altitude helps what we call red blood cells to multiply, and the oxygen here, because when you're running, let's say for 20 a mile, you need to have the stamina, and that stamina has to be driven by the higher altitude. So what it means when you go to lower elevation, like say Florida, California, other major cities, Vancouver, the higher altitude, it helps my lungs to not struggle. If, let's say, I'm competing with somebody who comes from Houston, Texas, or Arizona, that person is gonna struggle when I breathe. Our lungs, my lungs are considered to have a lot of oxygen. Basically, it's been approved by science and top coaches that Santa Fe is very good if you train here. And I've seen so many people from all over come to Santa Fe, but back in the day, let's say 10 years ago, I used to host 20, 30 runners in the house. And this is because everything was easy, access to the facilities, let's say Santa Fe High School and other neighboring schools here. The track was easy to access the facility, but these things have changed with time. It's not easy to access Santa Fe High School. It's gonna take 6 months to apply to get just access to the facility. That's a long time just to use the facility, just going there, do the workout and go back home. It's not easy. It's not only me, it's affecting the young people who see me running all over here, I'm sure people have seen me running on the streets. I'm not new here. On top of that, if Ron and the rest, his team, Ron, the reason Ron is doing this is we're looking forward to making facilities to be public and easy to access.
Well, that's what I want to ask you on that. What can the city of Santa Fe do to encourage these world class runners, these world class athletes, Olympian athletes, to want to train here in Santa Fe? You just mentioned that Santa Fe is a great place, but we're at 7,000 feet, which is phenomenal. But again, too, there are other places. You go up north more, Wyoming, Montana, much higher, much higher. Why is Santa Fe much more a better place to train?
Well, my coach, who's a scientist, has done a lot of research, and other coaches, it's believed the altitude for one to run faster because between 5,000 and 6,500, which Santa Fe, if you look at Wyoming, Denver, Flagstaff, and the neighboring other places here, they don't qualify exactly as Santa Fe does. We have a history of good runners winning Boston from Santa Fe. Back in the day, we had a British runner break a world record, Paula Radcliffe. Everybody knows who Paula Radcliffe is. She broke a world record 2 hours 15. And most people were thinking it's not easy to break it again. But the point I'm saying is 5,500 and 6,500, that's the range of good runners. It's good for your lungs, it's good for your recovery, it's good for your what we call boosting. You breathe good and you run easy when you go to low elevation. And the cities that today taking over from Santa Fe, not because they are good cities or they do something else. It's the only reason is look at Denver. A lot of my friends are moving to Denver because it's easy to access the facilities in Denver. The community in Santa Fe is more welcoming. If you look at the rules and regulations there, somebody who's going to use a facility, in fact, in Denver, you are sponsored to be there to inspire the upcoming youths, young runners. They're going to see how did you do this? How did you get to the championship? How did you run a marathon in a 2 hour 6? But somebody has to be there. Somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
How is a young person going to learn how to do a 2 hour 6? Look at top American runners who've been to Olympics. They have to go to Africa. Is Africa good for training? Maybe not. The reason is in Africa, most people do things as a team. Like runners, they do teamwork. So what will happen if I'm having, let's say, 20, 30 runners in one group? We share the ideas, become faster every day, and on top of that, we need to have the community to join hands. That's the most big thing. When the community joins hands, because within the community, there are young people who want to become runners. Yes. And this is a very good sport. The research shows once a runner, always a runner. So you get addicted to that. When you know how to do it, it's a good thing. You will never forget how to do it.
Well, let me tell you, this is what I think sports, any type of sport, whatever you play, is a good, and especially when you teach it to the youth. When I was growing up here in Santa Fe, I played Little League baseball here at National Guard, Franklin Miles, if people know it. Then I went on to play Babe Ruth, and I was fortunate I was able to play at Santa Fe High. And I played football too as well. Sports is good for children, and especially when they're taught at a young age. One thing that, as you can see, you might see I'm wearing this shirt. This is the Santa Fe Fuego shirt. Back in 2011, I was able to work with the Pecos League, and we were able to bring the lowest form of professional baseball to here to Santa Fe, and they play during the summers at Fort Marcy, and it's been a really good thing. But we were just talking about Denver and how more people are going there, leaving Santa Fe to go train over there because of the facilities. But one of the things that I've always kind of bugged me was New Mexico kind of missed the, how would I say it? They got passed over because if you look at every other state that surrounds us, you have Arizona, you have Colorado, you have Oklahoma, then you have Texas. Guess what they all have that we don't have? A professional team, meaning NBA, NFL, MLB, and we don't. We do have the Isotopes, which is great. I think it's awesome. We have the Lobos, we have the Aggies, and now we're having the United, which is phenomenal as well. That New Mexico is now coming onto the map. But like you mentioned, what is it going to take for the city of Santa Fe to bring those world class athletes such as yourself, an Olympian, here to Santa Fe to train? You mentioned about facilities. Is that what's needed? A huge track or just a mega facility that maybe one of the things during my campaign is collaboration. I want to collaborate with the county, with the state, with the schools. To me, that might be something that we all could look at. Collaborating. Some of the funding that we receive from the state or federal, maybe making a big facility that we say, hey, this is going to be, of course, for the people here in Santa Fe, but at the same time too, let's promote Santa Fe as a high altitude training, and let's bring in some, I'm sorry, much needed, cash, and funding to help, the city, the county, the state as well.
Well, you've mentioned a lot of things in the process, and I comment that I think one thing the city of Santa Fe could do is just make everything easy. Don't make the rules tougher for the community. Don't restrict people using public facilities. Make it harder because it some people out there they they could benefit. It could reduce even the you see what's happening on the reels here. When I came here back in 2011, I remember there was nothing on the reels, but you can't compare with today. So I don't want to go deeper into that because we all know. And when you're looking at why Santa Fe does not have a team, like because we look at Texas, you hear of they have their team. Arizona, they have their team. Denver, they have their team. On top of what you didn't mention is, I've always asked myself, because why do I have to go to marathons in Texas, New York, Chicago? Denver have one of the biggest road races ever that has 35,000 runners every year. Wow. I want folks out there to ask themselves, what do we have in New Mexico? Every time I see a road race in Santa Fe, Buffalo Thunder, Santa Fe International Marathon, how many people show up? 300. I've done marathons in Minnesota where we have 40,000 runners in a small city called Duluth. I'm the champion. I traveled to Grand Marathon to win, but how many competitors? 35,000, 40,000. Wow. In Santa Fe, we keep thinking like the old days, what's the population in Santa Fe? It's 80,000, 85,000. Duluth is the same. That's the population. But somebody has to be there. Somebody has to speak good about Santa Fe because there's so many runners who want to come to Santa Fe. Why? After going to so many places in the entire world, have been to a lot of all 6 continents, everywhere, 50 states in the US. Santa Fe is beautiful in its own way. It has the culture, the weather, the food. If most people, if somebody could say how Santa Fe is good, let's say the Pueblos, our neighbors here, it's gonna attract people out there. Santa Fe is likely to be another Boston Marathon, New York Marathon, because Boston every year can host 60,000 runners. What happens if the city of Santa Fe can have, let's say, 3 times a year, 60,000 visitors coming? Do people in Santa Fe have where these people are gonna stay? Probably not.
Yes.
But what does that mean? It's marketing, good business, because when you have 60,000 people coming, you don't have hotels, no food for these people to eat. So, and I know how to reach out to runners out there.
Yes.
Because I know, how do I know there's a marathon in Canada? These websites where runners go to, we need to have a marathon in Santa Fe. That marathon has to show the art, the culture. How old is Santa Fe? The old building, somebody wanna see that. And in end of the day, that's what is very important, to have runners access the facilities and attract many runners to come here, because running, it makes everybody healthy. You know, as a runner, I could say a lot of things. When I go for, let's say, a 10K run or a 6 mile run, when after you finish, you feel, wow, the body feels good. You think positive.
Yes.
You don't become wild. You know, I can mention a few groups in Santa Fe I've attended to. Here we do have groups where I'm a member, and I listen to somebody who's been doing 8 hours a day. You show up at 6 p.m. from the store called Running Hub. We're running from there. And all those people who run with us, they're nice people. You don't have to know who they are. But you listen to the runner, the thinking mind of a runner is very positive. How I wish we could have as many people running. You do a mile, you do 2 miles, you have a walker, you don't have to run a 4:20 like me.
Yes.
If you do just finish, do 2 miles, that's good.
You got to start somewhere, right? Don't you? You know, half a mile, 1 mile. But again, like you just mentioned, the promoting. Promoting Santa Fe as that high altitude is something that the city has, in my opinion, not doing. Of course, they're not doing it. That's why I said, if I do get into the mayor's office, definitely something that I want to work on and to do. And to have you here, a world class runner, and tell me, you were the world champion, right?
Yes, sir.
In what year?
2012.
2012. And you went on to the Olympics, and you ran in the Olympics. In which Olympics was that?
2016.
2016, and that was where at?
Rio.
Rio de Janeiro. I mean, we have an Olympian living here in Santa Fe, training here in Santa Fe. To me, that's awesome. I mean, to know that you're here. But we were talking also about that the facilities aren't open. So back when I was on the council, we used to have MOUs with the schools, which allowed us as a city to facilitate, events at the school. So, being that I've been off the council now, 8 years, I don't really know what's going on, but that is definitely something that, if I get into the mayor's office, we will definitely start looking at MOUs with schools and all that, because we want to promote all sports. And, to me, it's an inspiration to have you here in Santa Fe doing what you're doing. And, I was even telling you, I can just imagine you go to St. Mike's, you go to Santa Fe High, you go to Santa Fe Prep, talk to these young kids. You're an inspiration. Look at what I've accomplished in my life. You can accomplish that as well.
But the thing is, I came here on an athletic scholarship.
To where?
Arizona State.
Arizona State. Wow.
And my scholarship was fully paid. And whenever I talk to so many candidates, high school kids who run out there, whenever I tell them my story, how it's very important, because athletic scholarship could be cross-country scholarship, never comes easy. It has to start somewhere. So let's say our elementary schools can nurture young talents. By the time somebody gets to high school, the coach knows I have 100 meters sprinter, good. In New Mexico, not so many schools offer scholarships.
What we call that here in New Mexico, in Santa Fe, we call it feeder programs. We used to do that, with baseball, football. They started Yapple, they started Little League, and this way coaches at the high school level, they see these kids grow up and they know it. So, we have a feeder system from elementary to junior high to high school. I think that's what you're trying to get at.
That's the awareness. So why should a high school kid in New Mexico, in Santa Fe, miss out? Why are we not telling them where the opportunities are? How I wish there could be so many people like yourself out there willing to spread the word, willing to tell the young kids in elementary, in high school, that if you do good in baseball, this is what you're going to get. Somebody like myself, my teachers kept telling us, we knew as I'm growing from 6 years, I knew if you do good in cross country, high school, wait a minute, if you score this grade, you score some credits, you're going to get a scholarship to the United States.
No, there's no lie. I mean, I grew up, playing baseball. My dream was that, hey, I was going to walk out to Dodger Stadium and start at second base for the Dodgers. That was a dream I had. It was a great dream to think. But, like I said, in professional sports, there are very few that make it from the high school level to the college level to the pros. I mean, like I said, there's not that many that can say I'm a world-class runner, I'm a world champion, and I'm an Olympian. Very few in the world that can say that.
Well, in the state of New Mexico, I think New Mexico or Santa Fe needs to be the #1 city to have a lot of runners, especially the professional runners. Reasons being, 10 years ago, at my house, I used to have close to 25, 30 a year. I could count 200 runners coming to Santa Fe. Today, I think since COVID, I don't know what went wrong. Something went wrong very fast, very quick. The time they started asking a lot of registration, and taking 6 months to be approved to use the facility, Santa Fe High School. Back in the day, all they did is it takes you less than 30 minutes, an hour. They look at your background check, they give you a pass, then we know the program of the facility, when to use the facility, when not to use the facility, because the facility belongs to the high school kids.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So if the public knows the high school kids are out by 2, don't go there. By 3, nobody's there. So you go use the facility, they know who you are. Somebody could say it's a security thing, but if they know who you are,
yes,
and they have your information, all you need is go do the workout. That's it. Mm-hmm. It's so healthy, and it's it's so healthy to have so many professional athletes coming back because I know most of them they went to Denver. Whenever they get to Denver, some of my friends they enter into the military. Once they're there, they use the facility. But in New Mexico, the military on I-25, they don't have the facility. If they do, it's not easy to get.
Yeah, well, like you mentioned, Santa Fe does have some great facilities. We have, they just reconstructed Santa Fe High, Santa Fe Indian School as well. They have a wonderful facility. I know St. Mike's too. Yeah, what I believe is what needs to happen is the city needs to have those talks with the Santa Fe Public Schools, to bring back those MOUs so that we can do that and we can promote. Like I said, not just distant running, all types of high altitude training. A few years back, I don't know if you knew that, we actually had the Chinese swim team.
Yes.
And they were actually training here at the Genoveva Chavez Center. So, Santa Fe is, like you said, it's world renowned, the city, but we're not really world renowned for high altitude training.
Well, I wish I've talked to so many foreign runners. I know the Dutch woman who won marathon gold medals in Olympic. At one time, she needed where to stay with the entire Dutch national team. Unfortunately, Santa Fe does not have a facility. I was talking to the GCC, Genevieve.
Yeah, Genoveva Chavez Center.
Even if they try to call the GCC, which is right across the street here, it's nobody answers. If the person answers, they don't have the information. However, answering the phone, they don't know about. Can we host somebody from Japan to use the facility?
So what you're telling me is the customer service is lacking there.
It does.
It does. Okay. No. This is what people need to hear. People need to hear what's happening in our city.
It's lack of information, and despite that, the city has some rules which does not engage or allow the cities to engage or enter into competition with other neighboring cities.
So there's rules that forbid us to doing things like that?
Yes, sir.
Wow. See, so these are things that I didn't even know. And I can tell you this, these are things we definitely need to look at because we want to be able to have those relationships, have those competitions,
If you want to understand how good it is, however, out there want to know how sports can help the community, the society, the generation that's coming, young people. I've watched this movie called Skid Row Marathon. The Skid Row Marathon, it helps people who are retired to find a connection. If you retire, you want where you can fit. It's when these facilities, let's say the Santa Fe High School, can allow people to engage. People who don't have anything to do. The first thing is to have public facilities open to them because they belong there. They are part of the society. Let's say the GCC here. If you go there, you are a retired person, because I know some of them who can't enter the facility. If they do, the city has tough rules. Tough meaning it takes time to be allowed.
Okay.
If you are allowed, when you in there, it's you have those people who don't understand exactly. Somebody in swimming who got a certification online because I ask questions. When you engage the person in terms of law and order, they don't understand.
Okay.
Instead, they become rude or the way they answer is not professional. And I think in terms of making the entire society, the city, be or appear on the world map of competition is to look at our neighbors, competitive neighbors.
Yes.
So look at Flagstaff. Flagstaff is as good as Santa Fe, but Flagstaff has so many sports facilities.
Yes.
I can drive today to Flagstaff, which is 7 hour drive from Santa Fe to Flagstaff.
And they're a smaller city than us.
Yes, sir. And they allow me I can enter NAU. That's a Northern Arizona University and do my workout on my way to Phoenix. But here in Santa Fe,
There's too much red tape, in other words. Too much red tape.
A lot of misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, these are things I'm glad you're bringing to my attention, because these are things that that whether need to change or be modified, to make Santa Fe again a friendly city that welcomes our athletes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's so many. We need to have a marathon. We need to have Santa Fe International Marathon. We have Denver International Marathon. We have the Fort Worth International Marathon, where I'm the champion. Vancouver International Marathon, where I have the course record, the fastest time ever. And I live in Santa Fe. When did people see me compete in Santa Fe? And why? There's no marathon.
Mm-hmm.
And why those small races which are here, they don't pay money to inspire somebody? I'm not going to run a full 20 when I'm getting a t-shirt. Boston Marathon, it pays $150,000. I'm a pacer. I do professional pacing. That's how I pay my bills.
Yes.
When they hire me on a single pacing, I'm able to sustain my bills for 6 months.
So let's go to the Boston Marathon. So do they pay every participant, or just like maybe the top 10?
They pay top 15.
Top 15.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But if you're a professional athlete, you've been invited to Boston Marathon, you're given money according to how fast you are.
Your time and all
The
that.
faster you are, the time you've run is what we call appearance money.
Okay.
The race organizer reaches to me, says, Lamech, I want you to be my pacer in 2026. So they have me. If you say yes, you sign a contract, an email. You start preparing for Boston Marathon 4 months before. But they're helping you to pay your bills.
Pay your bills. Yeah, I understand that.
On top of that, this is money to show up. When you win, they say, if you number one, 150. Number two, 100,000. Number three, 80,000. And this is it's an open money for anybody.
Yeah.
So you start working hard, and then they tell you your competitor is coming. How tough is the guy? He's from Denver, he's from Santa Fe, or he's from. Then you start to think, where can I do my preparation?
Yeah.
Santa Fe is good. Why? Santa Fe has very good trails.
We do have a great trail system here.
Number one.
See, we're number one for trails here in the United States and probably in the world, which is great. That's awesome.
Santa Fe is the only city you can drive 10 minutes on top of the mountain. Hiking. Look at the other lives. Look at the railroad by Rabbit Road.
Yes.
Look at, there's another trail by Santa Fe Municipal Airport right here. Look at Aspen Visitor. If you want to do the hills, 12,000, 13,000. If you want to inhale the altitude, you want to breathe. If you want that higher altitude to give you a lot of speed, the stamina, cardio, go to the ski area. If you want low elevation, you drive 30 minutes to Poaki.
Yes.
Actually, I forgot to mention, Poaki is one of the open stadiums. Because whenever we show up, Poaki, they have tough rules the way Santa Fe does.
Oh, Poaki does too? Okay.
We drive to Poaki, we use Poaki High School, the track, the people there, they are very understanding. The security, when they see us, they say, you want to use the track? Say, go get it. Which is good.
Well, that's good. Well, Lamech, you have opened my eyes to a lot of issues that I didn't know were plaguing, Santa Fe. As like I told you, definitely want to promote Santa Fe as a high altitude. You being here is an inspiration to us, knowing that we have a world class runner that using the facilities, using the trails, and he's training here, so that he can better himself and hopefully get. You're gonna be in another Olympics.
I'm hoping so.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I hope to see you in the next Olympics. I want to thank you for coming on the first edition of Ronversations. It's been an inspirational speaking. I got to ask you one question before you leave: red or green chili? What's your favorite? Both. So you're a Christmas. You like them both. Well, again,
I grow them at my house.
You grow good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our daughter grows the Chimayo red chili in our backyard, which is great. Yeah, it's
I have both red. I have green chili here, and I love them. It's good. I eat them almost every day. Yeah, and then without forgetting, Santa Fe made me who I am. Santa Fe, it's known as speedy. You get faster here.
Wow.
Yes. The only thing, even the people here are very good. And then the other thing is, it's the sun. It's sunny. It's beautiful when you are running.
360 days of sunshine.
Yeah, and I think I did an interview back in Vancouver, Canada, and somebody asked me my favorite city, and I was 50-50 between Vancouver and Santa Fe, but I ended up now in Santa Fe, which is really
well, Santa Fe is my favorite city.
It is my favorite city too. Because I've lived Phoenix, Flagstaff, a little bit of Vancouver, a little bit of Quebec, the French speakers up there, but Santa Fe is very excellent.
Sounds good. Well, again, thank you for being on the first edition of Ronversations. I hope you come back. We can have another conversation later on. This year. See how your training's going. Like I said, remember this guy Lamech. When you're watching the Olympics, maybe the next Olympics, maybe after that 6 years, who knows? Well, this gentleman will be in the Olympics.
Well, I do host Olympians every year at my house. I have runners right now from other countries. We do have a website. The managers, coaches, they reach out to me, and it's gonna be easy to have as many runners in Santa Fe because whenever from Africa, from Europe, from Mexico, from Brazil, they reach out to me because my house here in Santa Fe, we are known to host everybody. But we can't host them because of competition and the rules. Santa Fe, which is a mile away from my house, Santa Fe High School, we used to do a warm up to the track, so we can't. St. Michael High School, somehow they do, but I think with time we could do better, and we could have so many runners coming here, and we could also talk to the Santa Fe people here to be good runners.
Good.
There are running groups out there. Some of them have seen me. I know so many runners here. They want to come. We're going to do a lot of easy run. We want to inspire them. Yep. It felt good to be addicted into running than to be addicted into doing other bad things.
Most definitely. And with that, Santa Fe, again, muchísimas gracias for you coming on. And Santa Fe, we will talk to you soon.
Thank you.